Hi. Yeah. No, it was pretty good. Thank you for inviting me again. I think this is the fourth time I come. I don't remember if I came also for Broken Tales or maybe it was Dead Air Seasons, but I think it is the fourth time I'm here. Okay, yeah. So, so I've been here a few times. Yeah. Yep. So we passed the goal, and now we are trying to see where the campaign can get. So first things first, I'm not the author of the game. The author is Raffaele Bota. He's not here in my stead just because he's not super comfortable with English. And this coming week is leaving for the biggest event we have in Italy, Lucca Comics and Games, which I think when it comes to the size, it's probably second only to Gen Con in the world. So it's a big event, even though it's not 100% focused on games. There's a lot of cosplay, movies. It's more like a nerd culture in general. Um, but yeah, so I'm speaking on his behalf, and the universe that Raffaele used as a reference for this game is the one of it's an intersection between Tarantino movies, the movie and the comic of Sin City, and then his love for the movies from the 80s, action movies from the 80s. This kind of influences have created what Dirt City is, which I want to say it right away, even if it wasn't a question, because I noticed I've been in some other podcast and I spoke for half an hour without telling what the game is, but I think probably we should clarify that. So the game is about a group of badasses, so that's how we call the protagonist of this game, that are people that used to be heroes, each one in their own way. Someone could be a war veteran, someone could be a policeman that solved a lot of cases, someone could be just like this kind of heroes that you have in Kill Bill, yeah, right? And but the main point of the game is that at some point they were subject to such a trauma that they decided, okay, this is it. I'm not gonna live this life anymore. And well, if we take a Kill Bill as an example, in that case, it would be I think I can spoil the movie at this point. When yeah, yeah. So when during her wedding, her husband is killed. Um, or like one other reference, it's a bit more modern than the 80s, but for those who saw Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, you probably know that at some point Saul Goodman was hiding from everybody involved with the events of Better Breaking Bad, and was somehow working in a donut shop under a different name and a different identity, etc. So that's the starting point of our heroes. They are different people now. They hang the gun. They put it in the drawer. They decided to do something else with their life. But of course, like this is not a super interesting premise for an action tabletop RPG. So something happens. We call it a defeat in the game, and each hero has a different one. And this feat is something that put them back under the spotlight for 15 minutes. And each one of them has a different one. It's played at the beginning of the game, and then you also play one section where you need to come up with the titles that appear on the newspapers of the thing you've done. It could be you saved a kid from falling from a skyscraper, you prevented robbery, something like that. And that puts you on the spotlight, and the citizens of this fictional American city, Dirt City, they start to ask you to solve their problems. And like the way that the heroes get together can vary. There could be some kind of central figure that summons them, or there are other options in the book. But basically, the idea is that because the police is corrupt, because the city is beyond saving, because the politicians don't care, the city needs them back. And what they do is that they once more decide to step into the shoes of the heroes, come back, do the best they can to serve the city, and at some point disappear into the horizon, because this is not a game like it's a game that can work as a one shot or it can work for short campaigns. But there's a mechanic in the game that will lead your heroes to deteriorate in a way that they can't come back from that. And that is called the strain. It's a mechanic. And now maybe I'm going too much ahead, but the idea is that yes, they can still do something for a short amount of time, but their time is almost over. So the point of the game is that going out in a blaze of glory, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. So I think what you're referring to is that we have not made the classic quick start where you have like the first 30 pages of rules and then you have an adventure, right? What we decided to do is to get straight into the action. So the quick start almost immediately starts with we call it a problem, but it's basically what in other games would be an adventure or a scenario. It's like in the context of the game, we call it a problem, a dirt city problem that the citizens submit to the heroes, to the badasses, and they have to solve in a way. So we decided to do it that way, mostly because I think it's a good approach. And that's something I notice when I play almost any game out there with friends or even with people that I don't know. It's rarely very useful to try to explain all the rules of the game before you start because people get lost, they get bored. You spend 1 hour explaining things that most likely are not going to come into play during the first session. And what I found to be very effective, we're not the only ones doing this. So this is not like our innovation, but I found that it's very effective to explain a rule the moment you need it, because in that way you can get people to play right away, but also you offer the rules only when they're needed and in kind of digestible bits. So they like people learn only the thing that is useful to proceed in this specific situation. And of course, maybe some people that really need to have the bigger picture to understand their the best possible strategy to like some people might not like this, but Monadeco by its nature, the system that runs the game, it's not a min-max system. It's not a system where you are trying to play with the numbers to optimize the possible outcome. So it doesn't really make sense to give you all like these options upfront when it's much faster for you to get into the game and understand the mechanics if I give them bit by bit only when you need them. And so we wrote the adventure that it starts. There's the first paragraph. Then we do explain some of the basic concepts because otherwise it might be difficult to. Then there's another bit of adventure, and then we explain another couple of concepts. And yeah, I just think this is an effective method to teach a game. And there are other games that do that. Just talking about a couple of other Italian games that you might have heard about. One is Fabula Ultima, which is very popular in the US. They just finished a really big, yeah, yeah. They already they just finished a very big Kickstarter. I think that game has the quick start made that way. Then there's another one called Vileborn. I don't know if you're aware of it. Um, right. Okay, if you need a contact, let me know because I know Claudio very well, so I can introduce you. But in general, like I can see these are more and more, and we are also doing that with the game that is now in development, Bitter Chalice. We discussed that last time. One of the three books that compose that game, it's an introductory campaign, and we're trying to do that also during the introductory campaign. Because well, now right now I'm translating that Bitter Chalice core book, and the first six chapters are rules. And I realized that like if you have to drop all of that on players the first time you play, it might be too much. And that's why we also wanted to have this introductory campaign that you can start playing, and then a rule is explained, and then you play a little bit more, and then another rule is explained. I just think it's a good approach. It's not the only approach, of course. It might not work for all games, but it definitely works for our stuff. So the like in general, the like if you played any other Monodeco game, you would be very much at home here. But of course, with every game, we try to have some thematic mechanic that tie into the theme, tie into what we want to see at the table, and tie into yeah, what we think, like the kind of incentives we want to offer players. So like the longer story here is that the first time I played this game, it was running on another system. It was running on Cthulhu Dark. That was the first system that Raffaele tested the game with. This is a game that has been in development for many years, and it has been switched to Monadeco only in the last couple of years. And we spent the last couple of years just testing it with Monadeco to make sure it was running well. And I know from what Raffaele told me that it was an almost immediate fit. He wasn't happy with how things were running with Cthulhu Dark. It was somehow a bit too simple. Like there was something he wasn't happy with. Many designers are never happy with their work, and then one guy from our community, a fan of Valraven, told him, listen, like they just released the SRD of the system. It's free, just take a look. It's in Creative Commons. I think it would be a good fit for this. So he did that, and it turned out that the game translated really well into Monadeco. So when it comes to the basic mechanics, first of all, like for the listeners, like we have the free SRD of the system. You can make your own games with it. You don't owe us anything. It's on our website. You find it also on Drive Through RPG. That said, for anyone out there that already has played some games based on the system, we have like the thematic things we added to Dirt City Blues. Well, there are a few, but maybe the most important are the strain mechanic that I was mentioning earlier. So that is mutuated from Valraven, which has something very similar. In there, it's called Road to Perdition, and you can come back from it, but in this game, you cannot. And strain allows you, because each character in this game only can suffer 3 wounds. And after 3 wounds, they're out of the game. They're not necessarily dead, but they cannot play in the current scene. So one way for players to avoid wounds is to take one strain, and one strain adds some kind of descriptor to your character, which is a negative descriptor. So you might decide that you are avoiding this bullet, but then you add this descriptor, which is basically a sentence to your character. And from this point on, you don't care anymore about the safety of civilians, for example. Or like you are completely blinded by your vengeance. And in a future situation where this would be relevant, you when you play that descriptor into the game, you gain XP. So it's in a way it's something negative that you put into the game to gain XP and make your character more performing in a way. The difference that we have from Valraven has something very similar. Valraven is a game about medieval war, very berserk, Song of Fire, Ice and Fire inspired, where you work in this mercenary company. In that game, that is called Road to Perdition. It represents the horrors of war that make you ugly inside because you have to do things that maybe you don't want to do to survive, right? So, but in that game, you can come back from it. So you can heal your mind in a way. In this game, you cannot. And that's why your characters are kind of slowly burning out until the final strain point that you add to your character sheet. And at that point, you can decide how the exit of your character looks like. So we wanted this kind of mechanic to convey a bit of the noir and gritty theme of the game. Yeah, that's another mechanic. That is another mechanic I forgot to mention. Sorry. Yeah, I think so. Even because something like we were talking, what mechanics are different from the other games we did. In most Monodeco games, there's a mechanic called bonds. Usually, you have bonds with NPC, and also you have bonds with other characters, like other players' characters. Sorry. In this game, we split that bonds into two lists. There's the white list and there's the black list. The white list are your anchors in a way, the people that make you feel good, and mechanically in the game, they're also the ones that can heal your emotional wounds. And then we have the blacklist, and the blacklist is the people that wronged you in the past, the people that you want to take vengeance upon, etc. And the beauty of the game is that people from one list can move to the other according to what happens. So yeah, coming back to your question, are there going to be examples? Yeah, definitely. That we're going to make several examples of how this stuff could look. So you also would have hooks to that give you some ideas for your own scenarios and problems. Yeah, so there's in the book, like in the quick start, we just have a pre-made problem, and in the campaign, and now we have two problems that are unlocked in the slipcase, the Luxus slipcase edition. We have two versions. We have just the book, if you want to be a bit on the cheaper side, and then we have the deluxe slipcase, which has the book. There's the slipcase itself, and then there's another extra called the folder, and inside the folder we have some additional material. At this point, we have like two extra problems, so basically adventures that are ready to play. Then we have two districts of the city that are not in the core book. And then we have the solo mode. So that's something that people usually get excited about. So we decided to unlock it. And Yeah, so in the core book, there's going to be a long section dedicated to how to create your own problems, both if you want to do one shots and also if you want to connect them into a bigger campaign with suggestions on how to have some elements in one problem that will come back in the next one. So yeah, that's definitely I think it's a whole chapter of the book if I don't remember wrong. Yeah, definitely. It's like in most other games, we're gonna have a list of gifts that are already pre-made for the various. We call them cliche, and they are basically the archetypes of your character. It's what kind of person you were before when you were a hero in a way. Yeah. So now I'm opening the file where we have the book material. Now, of course, I have the official translated version somewhere, but now I don't have it ready under my. So I might say some names that might be slightly different in the final book. This game is written in Italian first, and then we're translating it. So the cliche we have in the book are the veteran, kind of vigilante, the agent, the leader, the smartass, and the specialist. So these are the basic archetype of who your character was before. And then another descriptor that we have in the game is the profession that you ended up doing while you retired in a way, because that also might have some impact on what you do now. For example, there's one character in the quick start, Bart, if I remember correctly, that ended up being a cook after his career as something else. I remember, I think he was a pilot, if I don't remember wrong. And he has a gift that is related to the fact that he was a cook at some point, and the gift is about that if you are in a situation where you can prepare some food for someone, you can get more information that you would normally get from that person just because your cooking is so good, right? So even the kind of trivial job that you end up doing after has some impact in the game.
Oh, yeah, I can get that. And when it comes to when it comes to creation and advancement, I'd imagine there's also going to be a bit of advice on the essentially the cooldown part of it, the part of the adventure after the problem has been solved.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a thing in the game that is gonna be called in English, probably gonna be the headquarter. So after the first problem, the badass is solved, they can establish this kind of headquarter where they will gather between one problem and the other. It can also be inhabited by NPCs that they meet uh, during the problems. So the more they play, the more this headquarter becomes rich with personality in a way, right? And it's where they examine the map, which we also have as a physical thing in the campaign, where they can decide where is the next place that they're gonna clean up in a way, etc. So that's where they make the plan of what's gonna happen next, etc. So yeah, we're gonna have that, and then when it comes to advancements, I'm trying to find the exact chapter here in the game. So there are various ways to gain XP in the games. One is when your trauma comes up, the trauma that made you leave the hero life before. So when your trauma comes up and makes your life difficult, you gain XPs, and you always have to tell some new element about the how you reach that breaking point, basically. And here, fun fact, like the solo mode that we added to the campaign, to this folder, it's like it's gonna be the story of how you got to that trauma. So you can also basically play as a solo player that story by yourself.
Yeah.
Then you get XPs if you use one of these negative descriptors that come up as a result of the strain that I told you earlier. You get XPs if you explore your bonds, both in the white or black list. And of course, when you solve a problem, you get XPs. And yeah, these are the main ways to. But as you can see, a lot of the XPs come from making the life of the character difficult, because this is what we notice is that like most of the fun comes from overcoming obstacles. So this is not an heroic fantasy game where the heroes are this pristine paladin, like that somehow always try to perfect themselves. This is a game of people that are barely holding it together, and still manage to solve issues, and we think that that's fun. So that's why most of the XPs are coming from things that make your life harder in the game.
Hmm. Now, with that in mind, I think one of the other things that I was curious about going into is the idea of an iconic item, which is a once per problem benefit that can be invoked. What would you say the dividing line between an iconic item and a, say, a gift is, beyond just the fact that one of them can be used once per problem, the other one it has a bit more opportunity in terms of how often it can be used.
um, so let me bring up so well, first of all, it's like, in some of the reference movies,
Hmm.
you have this kind of items popping up all the time. In Kill Bill, Beatrix has the katana that has been forged by the master. I don't remember what, Hattori Hanzo. I don't
Yep.
remember what was his name. Yeah.
Yep. You don't remember what his
Yeah.
name, but you said his name.
Okay, so well, my memory is better than I thought. That kind of thing, and I think in is it Pulp Fiction, the one with the clock that has been hidden into the ass of one of the
It was
characters?
the watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that kind of thing, we wanted to have it also in this game.
Hmm.
And it could also be something a little less fun. It could be something like the picture of your daughter,
Hmm.
that was murdered by one guy that you have on your blacklist.
Hmm.
Um, it's in a way, it doesn't, like, it's a bit different from a gift, because, well, the effect of the iconic object is that it always gives you, once per scene, that extra success, and the gifts have more variety on their effect. It is mostly something thematic that we wanted to add to the game, and it's, you can use it on the side of the gift. So, but in a way, it is kind of an extra gift, if you put it that way. I don't disagree that it is something else that each character has, and it always gives you an extra success. But how it is used in the story will change a lot, because one thing is if you have a katana, one thing is if you have a watch. So you need to find interesting ways to use it in the game, and you can create these little scenes where, I don't know, your character is in the dark of his room, and a cigarette is almost over, and he's looking at the picture of his daughter, and then he punches the mirror, but you know that his next action is gonna be extra powerful, right?
Hmm.
So it creates this kind of interesting little scenes in the game.
Oh yeah. So with that in mind, what are you shooting for as far as a total page count for Dirt City Blues?
Yeah, so this is a discussion we have, like, often for every game. I don't believe into uh, the idea that more pages equals better games. I think the game is gonna be, kind of slim. So the book is gonna be probably, I don't know right now, because we have, like, the document I'm looking at right now is 60 pages in Google
Hmm.
Docs, which it's missing a bunch of things that still have to be written, and of course it's missing all the layout, all the pictures. So it's gonna be over 100 pages, I think, in the end, but it's not gonna be a 300 pages game. This is also one thing we wanted to try, because of all the games we put on crowdfunding, we always had at least two books. And with this game, this is the first game where we actually have one book. This is the game, and the other things we offer in the campaign, the folder, the dice, the map, they're nice extras, but they're not the game. Like you can play just with the single book. And one reason why we wanted to try this is to keep the amount of work manageable. Like I'm coming from Bitter Chalice, which is 3 books, and thank God we decided to do it only in English first, because I'm the translator of all of our games. Then we have like a native speaker editor, but I'm coming from the Their Seasons, which was 3 books in 2 languages, which means 6 books that I have to to revise and translate. And then like the books are only one part of it, because we have the playbooks, we had the master screen, we had a bunch of other things to revise. I finished like a couple of months ago, 1 month ago, I don't remember when. I finished Valraven, which is 500 pages of stuff. And I'm doing all of this on top of my day job, because this is not my main job, right? So we wanted to do something that it's a bit easier to manage, it's quicker to fulfill, because when you have like 3 books to do, it takes many months to get them to the point where you can send them to print. And I think with this game we're gonna be much faster than we usually are. So it's a little experiment for us. We still want to offer a lot of value in the campaign, but we don't think that every game we make needs to be 3 or 4 books. Like it's not necessary that every game is that big. Even because if I think about how I pick the games to play and read, etc., every time I'm very excited about a big game, and then I pick it up and then I realize it's 400 pages, and then I'm like, well, I could read these, or I could read the 4 indie games in the same time. So I'm finding myself more and more going for the smaller games first, because there's a lower time from reading to putting it to the table compared to the bigger stuff, right? So that's the kind of experiment we wanted to do with this game, and let's see how it goes by the end of the campaign.
Yeah, and I'll certainly be looking forward to seeing how it develops. But with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my monastery once again and enjoy the madness involved in here.
Sure. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open. As I often say around here, drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged. And, of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there'll be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Thank you. moments